being said, hopefully he's ready. I see him down here at the bottom. Hopefully I don't catch him off guard here.
Hi.
How's it going?
This is
Alok Mishra.
This is the face of the COVID quarantine.
Yeah.
Right now. You know?
None of us are looking good.
You know, sad. I feel like you were talking about The Shining earlier, and I'm trapped here with my wife and my 20-month-old and my dog, and I feel like I'm Jack Torrance, except for I've been drinking, so I'm not like in my mind.
Yeah. I'll work and no play over there, I'm afraid.
Kinda, right? Like it's upsetting that we've all been shut down, but it's also very good because we don't want people to get sick. And going back to what you had mentioned before, we need to support these independent cinemas just to make sure. Hold on one second. Do you need me to leave? Are you gonna make noise? Our pool guys are here, so.
I appreciate you coming on so spur of the moment.
I was kind of like the baby to who's inside is going to come on, but let's see. Are you going to make noise or no? Okay, good. We're good. We can talk. So, anyway, we should support independent cinemas. Going back to that, Cleveland Cinema. We're also at the Gateway Cinema in Columbus, I believe. I'm also going to be at the Music Box, I think, in Chicago this weekend.
Awesome.
There's a couple of theaters I'm forgetting in my Screenland Amor, which is in Kansas City, which is a nice old independent theater. So we are supporting those. We're I think there's an announcement this morning. I don't know if we're in it yet, but I think we will be at some point. But I think Draft House, Draft House is going to do their own thing.
Oh, okay.
They announced that today, so we'll see if we're getting in there or not, or when we're going to get there, or whatever it is. We were talking about The Wretched before. They're doing they're doing some really great stuff over there in those drive-in theaters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're the number one movie last weekend. $70 almost or something. Of course, it's not counting Trolls because they're not even talking about what Trolls is making. Nothing to us. We've never even mentioned what we're making. Like, oh, you.
Yeah.
Can I curse on you, by the way? Can I curse?
Yeah. Anything goes on this one. No worries. We've got no sponsors to contend with. So,
not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Hopefully.
We'll see. This is only episode 1, so we'll see what we can manage. Okay. It is definitely kind of the time to shine for indie movies because everybody's stuck inside looking for new things to watch. So it's the direct path to that.
It's weird though. They're bringing out I'm very obsessive about what I look at, and I was looking at how we were doing the first week we were out, and we were being beat by M. Night Shyamalan's fucking Split movie. My God, 50 years old. Go away, Shyamalama Ding Dong. Bullshit. But I mean, he's a very nice guy. The whole thing though is that there's all these movies that are being re-released that people haven't seen. Like Reanimator, I think, is out again. And that's in the top 10 for iTunes, Apple TV they call it now. So it's interesting to see what they're sort of re-releasing into the wild because there's such a lack of stuff, in that regard. So. But I would encourage you, if you like the movie, please tell your friends, obviously, and
definitely.
It's funny. I used to test movies for a living. I did market research for film for all the different studios here. I'm in LA, here in town, and there's a score on there that they consider very good. If you have a high one of these, and it's the definitely recommend score. Would you definitely recommend it to your friends? Because that score is what it is. Any trailer I can cut together, any sort of premium ad space that I could buy is nothing compared to when you tell your friend, "Hey, that movie's dope, go see it." Right? So that's for little films like this, that's what we need, that's what we live for, and stuff like that. So
it's that word of mouth, and I'm definitely gonna recommend this because, like I said, it made me feel so uncomfortable, anxious. That's what I look for. We were talking about Hereditary, The Witch, those A24 films, and those films kind of, give you that feeling, and that's what draws me to horror, and that's what I loved about, 1BR is that anxiousness that it gave me, and it kept me, focused on the edge of my seat, wanting to know what's going to happen next, what's she going to do, how's she going to get herself out of this, situation. It's a very good, I'm very surprised I didn't hear about it until Taylor told me about it. He's like, you got to check out this movie. We're going to talk about it. Check it out. And I'm very happy, he gave me that recommendation because it's a movie I'm very happy I saw.
I appreciate that. It's tougher with smaller films, obviously. Like we had a very sort of, plotted out festival run. We didn't have a distributor at the time. We obviously do now. Dark Sky, MPI, a great distributor. They've done lots of great movies like Bliss and, Girl on the Third Floor. And they're amazing for films of our size. And they actually, we premiered at Fantasia Fest in Montreal. And they were really sweet to program us because we didn't know anybody, didn't have like a distributor and so forth. And Dark Sky at that festival was like, hey, listen, we want to be in business with you. And we were like, let's listen to some other people first. And then, of course we went with them at the end of the day because they were really the best in terms of this size of film. But we had like, a lot of, different festivals we were in to try and, build the awareness for it around the world. We were in Beyond Fest here in LA. We did our US premiere here. We were in the Tronche in Paris and also Brooklyn Horror Fest, and like we went all over the world. I mean, literally like on a tour of sorts. Like October, everyone decides to do their festivals then, so, Halloween,
Yeah,
but
right.
We were all over the place with that, and if it hadn't been for sort of cancellations going on right now, we're still actually going to be, I think, in Chattanooga, who's going to do a virtual thing with Microsoft. I think they got the dates today. It's May 22nd through something like 4 days or something, I think. So we're going to be probably in that one last festival because we're already out, we're already out in VOD and stuff. So it doesn't make a difference. But we did a big, kind of festival run to try to build awareness for the film. And it was a thing where it helped to some extent, but, nothing helps like your publicist. We had this great publicist like Kayla Hare, who started off our festival run and got us like all this great, awareness, and I think that's one of those things where it's worth the money you spend, even on a small budget film, to hire a good publicist to help you out and stuff like that. And, for the publicist that's with Dark Sky, she's done a good job of getting us, Daniela Sapkar, she's done a good job of getting us like in the New York Times and, different sort of bigger publications and stuff. Like we were in USA Today. So we got, a decent amount of buzz, and, we did well for what kind of size film we are. We'd love to like keep on doing better if we can, until we come out. We're going to be coming out, I think, on June 2nd or 6th, I want to say, one of those two dates for Blu-ray. So that's the next date to sort of get, but it'll be on VOD forever until we figure out which streamer we're going to go with. If it's going to be, I don't know, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, something like that. We'll see. But they're really pleased with how we've been doing, actually, as far as the size of film that we are. So it's been lovely, and people like you were talking about it, so that's always nice. So I feel like if you're talking about it, I gotta come out and say hi, or do something.
We really appreciate it. This is awesome.
No, we're talking about the film, So
yeah,
it's good.
I did not foresee this being how our first episode was going to go, so this has been an awesome surprise.
Especially with like a film we both really enjoy. Have someone a part of that film come on and chat with us. That's just awesome.
Well, I don't want to tell you this, but I was trying to get, when you guys put me on just now, I was trying to get text Naomi Grossman, who's in our film, American Horror Story. She plays Pepper.
Yeah.
I've known her for like 20 years.
No kidding.
So I was trying to get her to come on, but I don't think she's getting back to me. She's a girl in makeup. She doesn't want to fucking do it.
Yeah. No, it is fortunate that we did like your movie. It would be so uncomfortable if we brought you on and then we didn't give a good review.
I thought about that, but I'm like, no one's gonna like fucking do a whole show if they hate the movie. Like, movie, it's like it's a piece of shit.
Yeah. So no, this is really cool. I am curious because I don't even know if I said for sure you're the producer on the film. This is coming from I believe this is the writer-director David Marmot's first feature, I think.
It is David Marmor. We met him, actually. My wife went to high school with his manager, and I had one of those meetings you're all supposed to have, and like, oh, what are you working on? Oh, I'm working on this. Let me give you 2 scripts to read, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll read them. 6 months later, I don't read them, and the project I'm working on fall through. What? Cooking brats. She doesn't understand like how long we should cook it or whatever. I love you. Anyways, so I met with his manager, and he sent me 2 scripts, and I was like, I'm not reading this shit. I have this other movie with like, some other big name star I can't talk about because he dropped out and he's a douchebag, and he dropped out right before we are gonna shoot a month before. Then now I'm like, I gotta fucking find a movie to like shoot now or whatever. So I started looking, I read his 2 scripts, one of which was Tragedy Girls, actually.
Oh my God!
Oh,
wow.
No kidding.
So yeah, Tyler McIntyre is also repped by these 2 guys, Jared and Allard from Epicenter, Allard Cancer, Jared Murray, and so what happens is that they send me the 2 scripts. I don't like. I tell them, listen, Tragedy Girls I can't do because it's a horror comedy, and I don't think that's going to work out because I never think anyone's satisfied with either of those things. They're like, oh yeah, we just finished shooting that a week ago. And I was like, what do I know?
Yeah.
So the other one I liked quite a lot, and I met with David Marmor, who an amazing writer director. Guy's super smart. It was a pretty perfect script. I mean, if anything, we had to pull it back because we couldn't afford to shoot certain sequences and so forth. And we were first time producers. My partner Shane Borster and myself, we have a company called Malevolent Films. We're trying to make thinking man's horror movies like The Witch and stuff that you've mentioned before. That was something we saw. We saw at Sundance, the first showing, and we were like, "This is the fucking best movie." I don't know how to market it. Old English speaking, but like they figured out to bamboozle people to come in for that movie, and then it got very low scores in retrospect in terms of their cinema scores. But they got people in, so they did their job as far as the marketing was concerned. But so David and I met together. We liked each other's sensibilities. We were first time producers. He's a first time writer director. And we were just like, listen, let's learn together. Let's figure this out. And we shot the movie in 15 days, then did another 4 days of reshoots 8 months later because we knew we needed to do a different ending for it. And the ending that you see was one of 2 endings we shot like 8 months later. And but, we were all patient with each other, which was the greatest part of it. We weren't like, go get our money back for us. We were like, all right, well, he actually had a baby, David Marmor did, right after we finished shooting.
Oh, wow.
And then I had a baby right before we started doing the reshoots. So I was like, get where you're coming from. I'm out of my fucking mind, like right now. But we were patient with each other. We trusted each other. And we actually, did a fair amount of testing with it as well, because that was my background. That's where I came from as far as a market research for film. We did 5 screenings of 20 people and then did focus groups on them. One of the things was the ending we kind of went over. One of the things we went over was whether to show more of the cat. Like I was like, I want to see cat. I want to see that cat like shoot out of the oven on fire, And but the test audience said that 25% of them wanted to see more of the cat, 75% didn't, and the 25% more were more the hardcore horror fans. Yeah. And the question for them was, "Well, can you live without not seeing the cat?" And they're like, "Yeah, okay, it's okay." I was like, "All right, I lose that argument. We're gonna not the cat or whatever." And stuff. I had that's what it cost us more money. And I was like, I don't want to spend $3,000 for this bullshit. Like, we've already spent like $100 on this. So anyway, so that was one of the things we learned through the testing and one of the things that helped us in terms of like crafting into something. I'll tell you, we had a lot of rejection with the film in terms of film festivals, but mostly because it wasn't finished. We were submitting lots of like incomplete sort of versions of it. I mean, Sundance was like a pipe dream. We didn't get into that. We didn't get into Slam Dance. We didn't get into like South by Southwest. Hell, we didn't get into Seattle Film Festival. They watched us like 27 times. And those fuckers didn't put us in, right? So, but thank God though, because once we were finished a bit more with it, like Fantasia took us, which is like, second biggest genre festival, if not the biggest in the world. And they're one of the best. Like they're such a huge, like, amazing, festival. Mitch Davis programs an incredible slate there. I mean, things like not only our film, but like The Wretched, I think, premiered there, for example. And like stuff of that quality. Swallow, I think was there. If you haven't seen that,
I've been meaning to watch that one.
Oh, it's fantastic film. If you think ours is uncomfortable,
I'll be checking that out.
Yeah, it's definitely uncomfortable. But they have a ton of movies that they premiere there, and that's like a real tastemaker sort of festival. I'll say that because the second you're in there, everyone and their mother is then calling you like, "Hey, you want to like be with our festival?" Like, all right, fly us out there. Let's see.
Yeah.
So
anyway.
you said you guys are specializing in that, elevated thinking man's horror. Do you have anything like in the works in that genre?
We have a much bigger budget film.
Okay.
Called Emergent. Marcel Sarmiento is the writer director for that one. He did the movie Dead Girl, if you've ever seen it. I think it may be on it's on Shudder from time to time. I think they just took it off, maybe, or maybe I think it's on Amazon actually. Anyway, so that's more of a sci-fi horror movie. I can't say much about it because we're trying to J.J. Abrams out of this, right? So it's like
I love that mystery box element. So
it's better to have it in this day and age. Everyone wants to see. You just don't show them for a second and see what happens,
Yeah.
But we also loved working with David Marmor, who is just I don't use the word visionary, but he is a visionary actually, because he has this next film we're doing. I can't talk about it, but we had a good enough experience working with him that we are working to find him a little bit of money for the next one, which is going to be like more of like a $4 to $5 million movie.
Awesome.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. He is like so super smart, this guy. He went to Harvard. He went to USC for graduate to do directing and writing and stuff like that. So I was fine with him. I'd rather deal with a writer director, I'll be honest, than having to deal with a writer and a director. Whose dick do I got to suck today? Like, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I don't want to. So it's like, so dealing with one person's easier, frankly. And his vision's very clear. We had so much shit that went down filming this movie. Like we lost 3 of our leads, including our Sarah character, and Brian, and our Miss Stanhope character. Like 4 days before we were shooting, we had to recast everything and push it back a week. I wrote an article for Movie Maker magazine. If you go to that thing, you can look it up, which details all the horrible things that happened. We had fires. We had a production truck that was stolen in the middle of the night, and it was involved in a high-speed televised chase with the LAPD.
Oh wow!
What?
So, yeah, trust me. Just go read that article; it'll tell you all about it, and it's just ridiculous what happened. And like the director we didn't even tell the director this happened. We just started an hour late. It was like, but I mean, in all our first movie too. By the way, we were just like, I don't know how much more we can be tested. I feel like or something, But then the fires happened, and our small theatrical release went away. Our premiere party went away. We were going to premiere at the ArcLight Hollywood. We were all excited. It didn't happen, but hopefully the good people on VOD stuck at home will hear of this and go watch the fucking movie.
Yeah.
Seriously, if you're watching this right now, please check out the movie. It's fantastic. You won't be disappointed, I promise.
We just looks like Matt popped in, who's been producing the show a little bit in the background, which I appreciate. He brought our special guest here at a very short moment's notice. I definitely would not have been able to pull that off. We'll talk at the same time.
I do got to say thank you for coming on, because like part of the reason that this whole network that me and my buddy Nick started and brought our Taylor and Connor and some other friends on to was to give independent film a little bit more light, and just having a producer of an independent film come on here and talk about his film is just it kind of validates that reason. You know what I mean?
Well, it's an auspicious start to hopefully a very long podcast, right? Like a very long.
Well, Really Scared, actually, I don't know if Taylor mentioned this. Really Scared started almost 2 years ago, and we got like 2 episodes in, but because at the time he was just by himself, and this entire COVID has evolved our podcast crew, network, whatever you want to call it, into something better than I thought we were going to be, because I discovered this program that we're using called StreamYards, and it allows us to be able to do the podcasts we do without having to meet up and things like that. And we can do the interviews like we're doing now, and because you never know who's going to be in the room. But I have a question for you. You keep talking about you want to be the thinking man producer when it comes to horror and films in general. All 3 of us here want to work in the industry at some point in our lives. I know Taylor probably these 2 made a movie. Well, Taylor wrote it. Connor was the director on it. What advice would you have for people who are trying to break into this medium? So
And the genre too, because I'm very interested in it naturally.
Well, I would tell you this, and I feel very strongly about this, and I know that like a lot of people will do shorts to sort of like, sort of build their experience and sort of their acumen. I get it. I would say this. I don't think you need to make more than 2 shorts, frankly. Like, don't, because it takes up so much of your fucking time. And you could be, if you just spent like a little bit more money or crowdsourced or did whatever you had to do to just, if you have a clever idea and you can shoot it properly because you learned how to shoot now, or you have a great DP, obviously, that is learned how to, knows how to shoot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're not fucking around with people. If they're interested in the source material and they've seen a little of what you can do from your shorts. And so if you can build it that way and just go down that path, I see so many friends that just like, they're just stuck in this short world. And I'm like, you're just spinning your wheels. Like, people want to know that you can be in the club. That's sadly sort of the case. They want to know that you can make a movie, bring it to completion, because I swear to God, that's something in its own right. And if you're, smart about how you can market it and figure out different things that work. Like, I'll tell you I'm kind of going on a tangent here a little bit, but horror, people want something short and sweet. Like, it's like comedy. It's the same thing. Like 90 minutes is enough. Ours is exactly 90 minutes. Like, we cut out so much from it. Like, the first act was 10 minutes longer than it was. And we were like, we're just not getting to her being in that situation, which we won't talk about because I don't want to give it away. Yeah. We're just not getting it quick enough. And, our focus groups and everything else helped us sort of like cut. And, lose some stuff that really was great, but, we had to lose it. It's a whole rigmarole just telling you that you I wouldn't focus on shorts. Put your energy in making a fucking solid feature. And once you've made that feature and people trust you and it's good, I mean, if it's shitty, you might be running, at least you made a movie. What? I'm going to come later. Sorry. Dinner's ready. Okay. But once you've made that movie, at least you're trusted. People know that you can make a movie. If you make money on a movie, even better. Oh, you made money and you came in on budget or whatever. Or even if you didn't come in on budget, you still made money on the movie. It's a weird landscape we live in right now. It's a thing where if you can make a movie and you can make it good and you can make some money, then you'll be trusted. If you can just make a movie, you have a really next good idea that's a bit more expensive, you still might be trusted. But you have to at least have done the one. So that's my advice that I see. We went to festivals all over the world, and I'd meet all these different people who've done shorts, like they were playing in front of ours, or I go to a short series, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we love your movie," and I was like, "Well, do a movie next time. Don't waste your time with this bullshit. Like, you're not getting any younger. No one's getting any younger." So it's like, just go forth, my son. That's what I would tell them, in that regard. It's the better idea, I think. That's my advice.
That's good to hear. For sure, I would say that's definitely relevant advice. Connor right now is in the, I think, finished just recently writing your first feature. Do I understand that?
Yeah.
And I'm in the middle of writing what I've been thinking to believe is a short film, but I don't know. Maybe I'll have to reassess that based on your advice here today.
I mean, there's all these kinds of ways to sort of get money for films and make movies. Let's say you can go and try to buddy up with. Go watch somebody at one of the agencies talk, let's say. They always feel really happy when you give them props because the agents are they don't get any love at all. So you go and you charm yourself to an agent and say, hey, listen, I got this small little movie. I need help. Can you help me cast it? And if they like you, they might take a chance and be like, all right, the script's fucking great. Let me get you somebody. Let you get you one person of note. We actually, I mentioned we lost a lot of our cast. We actually had this big person who I can't mention because of, some libel shit that might go down or whatever.
Yeah.
But, she was on some sort of retarded show on, whatever big cable network. And here's a mistake you don't do. She made us hire her friend. I don't think it was her boyfriend. I don't know that, for sure, allegedly. But, he was also on a TV show. And I was like, some piece of shit I never watch. I'll say that. On the WB, for example, or CW. The mistake in hiring him was that she called. Here's the sad part of it. I'm actually in, and this is one of many things that independent producers do. They're just humiliating duties you just go do. So this girl wanted this feminine energy drink, which I can't mention as well because of certain reasons. But we had talked to the company that makes this drink, and they said we're going to send us some for free, like a bunch of it actually. But it wouldn't come till 3 days into shooting. So I had to go to the fucking store with the other producer and like the Gelson's Market and go find some of this feminine energy drink. While I'm there haggling with the manager, because I'm like, hey, listen, we got a case, but I feel like we need more. Can you please go check in the back? I don't think we have any. Can you just please go check in the back? So this guy's going to check in the back. Meanwhile, I get a call from this girl's agent, and they're like, she's out. And I'm like, no. What the fuck is going on? The manager shows back up. Yeah, we have an extra case of it. And I'm like, we don't need it. I was
oh my god!
Gelson's, about this. An hour later, the agent calls for her significant other, who's the Brian character in the movie, right? He's like, he's out too, and we're like, holy shit, what do we do now? We're like 3 days away from shooting. Like we put all this like personal money into this movie.
Yeah.
I can't say how much, but long and short, like we go to a bar immediately, and we're like, what the fuck do we do here? When we're at that bar, we get another call from our old lady character. Susan Davis plays a role now, and she's amazing. She's actually the mom from War Games. But we had another character actress who was a very respected character actress, and people know. Turns out, her husband collapsed, rushed to the hospital, dies. So we lost 3 people in one day. And we were like, holy shit, what do we do here? So we just scramble. And the thing of it was that Nicole Bryden-Bloom was always our first choice, actually. The other girl who came in had 3 million Instagram followers or some bullshit that you had to follow as a producer, sadly, nowadays, right?
Yeah.
So, for us, it was like, oh, we'll already be in the black if we hire this girl, right? Because she has such a following and it should extrapolate into XYZ, money back to us. So we got back to Nicole and we said, hey, listen, we don't have a lot of time. We actually ended up bumping the movie back a week is what we did. And Nicole flew out the next day, on a Thursday or something or other. And she got 5 hours to rehearse with our director. That was it, for the entire time that we had. And she just came to work on the Monday when we started, and we went from there. Meanwhile, we didn't have, now it's Friday, right? And we're starting on Monday. And I'm looking for older lady actresses. And I'm like, holy shit, what do we do? I ask all my friends, please send me reels of older lady actresses. I look at one of these reels on 9 o'clock in the morning on Friday, and it's Susan Davis's reel. And I there's a number at the end of it, and I'm like, it's got to be her manager. So I call the number, and it's her. And I'm like, okay, listen, this is highly inappropriate. I'm gonna pitch you the movie, and I'm gonna pitch you us, and then you see what happens. And she, at the end of the conversation, we talked for 20 minutes. She's like, I've never been in a cult movie before. Like, all right, what happens? And she's like, all right, so 11:30 we sign her, and now it's 6:30 on Friday night, and we still haven't got our Brian character yet. And we're fucking freaking out. We're sitting in Barney's Beanery. We're also drinking again, so you know where this is going. But we're just freaking out. We don't have him. And finally, we're trying to call people, our friends, who work for Blumhouse or different people like this. And we're like, tell the different agencies to stay open later for us. Help us, please, And they were helping us. And stuff. And finally, we get a call at 7 from Giles Maddie, who plays Brian now. It turns out he had been driving down from San Francisco, so he couldn't stop and read the script. So he ends up pulling side of the road and then reading the script on his phone and just reading his part. And he says yes to it just based off of that for some glorious reason. Wow. And we were we're making a movie on Monday. So that's how horrible it was.
Yeah.
Stuff. It's how bad it can be, but it all worked out.
He takes a swig of wine after thinking about it.
It's an encouraging story because
I get a sense memory of being so upset and stressed that I have to drink. Telling you,
it's encouraging because it shows how much can go wrong. Seems like virtually every step of the way, and somehow you still manage to make a high quality film at the end.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you the funniest thing that happened was the stolen truck thing, where I get this text in the middle of the night from one of the producers, and I'm just dead asleep because we've been working 18-hour days or something, and I'm just I have to wake up at 5, so I'm asleep, and at 5 o'clock I read this text, and it's something really, really, really bad happened, but I think it's going to be okay. What the fuck is this? I'm like calling him, like, what happened? And he's like, okay. At like 3:00 in the morning, we parked our 3 production trucks like right next to our office, which actually almost burned down. That's another part of the story, but we won't go into that. The California fire. That article, I'll tell you everything. We parked the 3 cars, the 3 trucks in a row on the side of the road on Sepulveda. This is like kind of Bel Air. This is like on the other side of the 405 freeway from the Getty Museum. And in the middle of the night, 3:00 in the morning, this white Escalade with no plates pulls up, and like 3 guys get out and break into the first truck. And one of them, the other 2 guys get back in the Escalade, and the one guy is just driving away. Like in 8 minutes, they broke it into his truck and are on the road. What they don't know is that we had a parking PA in the middle truck who's watching all this shit go down. And so he's like, holy shit, this is fucking real. So he gets in his car and he follows the truck, right? He's on the phone with the police. Call 911. And the police are like, sir, you got to stand down. You got to stand down. And he's like, I'm not going to stand down. I'm not standing down. You are in pursuit of this truck, And so we were like, it was amazing, right? So they go from the 405 to the 10 to the 110, and near the iconic Felix sign that you see off the 110, that's where the helicopter lights come on the truck, and the 3 cop cars just rush in. Tries to gun it, gets off the street near USC, and it's going all over the place. And finally, he destroys the engine trying to gun it. We had to pay this deductible or whatever bullshit. They pull him over. He's at a McDonald's / Chevron station. And now this is all on TV. This is in the article I'm telling you about, right? They have video footage of this guy. And he's a very handsome felon, by the way. Like somehow everyone's like, he's handsome. I'm like, fuck that guy. It turns out like this is a ring been stealing trucks that's never been caught. And this guy was new to this ring, right? So he turns over on them and turns state's evidence and is supposed to pay us restitution someday, but I've never seen a dime. So the parking PA were like, oh my God, this is so great. Thank you so much. I feel bad. I can't remember his name. It's just I'm bad with names. But we're like, here, we'd like to get you a really expensive bottle of alcohol, because we like to drink apparently in this production. And he's like, no. I just want the McDonald's gift certificates. And we're like, what about In-N-Out? And he's like, no, McDonald's. And we're like, Art wants what it is, so we got him. But again, the director didn't know about this. The actors didn't know about this. When we were premiering at Fantasia, I told the story again, and the actors were like, what the fuck happened here? We didn't know this. I'm like, dude, it's called producing. We need you to fucking think about this movie that you're shooting right now, and we have 15 days to shoot. You don't even know this shit.
Was there any point in the midst of all this where you were like, I don't know, I don't think this one's going to turn out at all. Maybe I should just call it quits?
Well, let's put it this way: my producing partner and myself actually, put up the money for this to do our first film because we wanted to show proof of concept in a way that we could make this happen. And what more proof is there to put your money on the line, let's say. And there was never a point where I was like, this cannot happen. I'm not like losing all this fucking money. So we had to figure this fucking out. And so we called in friends, we called in whatever we had to like figure it out. Like I said, I used to test movies for a living, and so like Jason Blum, we helped them with Paranormal Activity, and everyone believed in that movie. And we
really,
it's a huge story for that one. But we helped them all in different ways. And so his head of post production was just Philip Dawes was so lovely, trying to help us do everything we could and stay open and whatever else. And on the film itself, we pulled so many favors to make the film. My high school friend / college roommate from USC, Jason George, did all our sound for us for like no money. The guy does like Alice in Wonderland and like 21 Jump Street and stuff like that. And like he let us sneak into Sony and have this big like sound stage to do stuff like for nothing. And so I mean we pulled every favor we could. We were and that's I think another thing for independent film and first time directors, like start lining up your people that you can get help from and stuff. That's a huge thing to kind of do even before you make the movie. Sometimes people give you money just on the strength of you having that sound guy or whatever else, or that composer or what have you. Line up all your assets and your allies, and that can even help get money for the film to some extent. Sometimes I would say.
Oh,
I've been just rambling here. Sorry.
No, this is great.
No, I
man.
love it.
I really do love this, and I actually am going to shamelessly plug these two brilliant men right here. If they are two of the hardest working people I know. They are also two of the most creative people I know when it comes into genre film. And that project they worked on, it's a short, but only because
it's a student film.
It's a student film, so it was short for that reason. So
that's when you're supposed to do shorts. I'm telling you the truth. For that's when you're supposed to do it. You know what I mean?
So
sorry.
If you have any interest in seeing something which I would call one of your thinking man's genre films, check out Murmur, the short film. You can find it on the Overlords Pictures YouTube page. The audio, they're still working even now to this day to try to get some why is it slipping in my mind right now? ADR done. But story-wise, Taylor wrote it, Connor directed it, and I think they both did camera work throughout it. And it's a really good thinking man's film. And I have your email now. I can send it to you if you want. So.
Yeah, send it to me. Yeah, send it to me.
Don't harass the man.
Listen, a lot of people helped us out. I'll say this: like, there's a lot of pitfalls in this. I'll tell you one thing people don't think about a lot. That like you went to the trouble and you made this movie and you thought your festival ran out. That's great, but who's going to sell this movie for you, right? And I'll tell you, and this is sad, but a lot of sales agents are fucking dirt merchants. They're the worst part of this industry. They'll promise you X, Y, and Z. You'll never see statements from them. They'll never actually deliver on anything they promise you. They'll make just enough money to make their nut, and then they'll leave you by the side of the road to die. And this is something people don't think about, and you need to educate yourself about it because you need to talk to people who've gone through the process, like myself. I'm happy to give advice. I was giving advice to a guy today. I think he won't like me talking about it, but there's a movie called The Hosts, plural. Be on the look for that one next year. It's a solid film. It's a solid film. Like, I mean, but he's asking me questions about, okay, why did you go with your sales agent? Who would you recommend? And And I was definitely just giving him advice. So I'm happy to do that because people helped us. And to your point, if you want me to look at the film and give advice and whatever else, I'm more than happy to do it. Maybe we can help each other out in some ways. Obviously, I always try to help people in that regard. That's what you should do as a producer if you can help it. You know?
Yeah, awesome.
I really appreciate that.
That does mean a lot because, like I said, this is why we started this. We wanted to be able to. I mean, I know you probably are a busy man, but we have our normal show in the past few weeks, except for this past week. This past week we did something with comic book movies, but that's just because we're geeks. But the past few weeks before that, it was just interviewing independent. We're in Cleveland. We're all in Cleveland, Ohio, or the Northeast Ohio area, and we have a fledgling independent film scene here. So the past few weeks, we've just been interviewing people in that scene. So
I mean, that's awesome. Listen, a lot of this stuff can be very educational. Just these interviews, stuff you learn, and things like that. I mean, it's really great. I think that be aggressive. Go after bigger people. Just ask them to come on. 9 times out of 10, they may just say yes. You never know. Like, everyone has something to promote, right? It's if 5 people see this and go watch the movie, it was worth an hour of my time.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Yeah. I appreciate your presence here. It's
thank you so much.
You made a twisty movie, and you've brought an unexpected twist to our podcast. So it's been an awesome surprise having you here, man. I'm sure you want to go eat dinner pretty soon.
I have to go eat. My lovely wife coming out. And I'm like, I'm more important.
Yes, I do not want you to feel any closer to Jack Torrance than you already do. So we will definitely let you go eat.
But
that's what it is. All right, guys. Well, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. And,
thank you so much, sir.
And I'll see if anybody has questions. I'll try to answer them later. Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Take it easy.
Cheers, guys.